And this is a story across the board at the moment.
But is it just a terrible tangled mess, or it just feels to me like so many people have got something to make out of this situation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's not a mess. There are people seriously.
There is a plan.
That it's like you can start getting quite paranoid.
Well,
You actually start to think.
Want to get all conspiracy theory.
Yeah, but you
about
start. But
it.
you start.
But
it does
can't
promote
help
that.
it.
Yeah.
You can't help it
When you
see that.
Yeah.
Sort of when you sort of take a step back and you have that kind of witness state and you look at what's going on, you can see these threads running through things that everything starts to feed into, and you.
Vaccination programs.
We
get bombarded with emails about you must have a flu vaccination as you're in the frontline staff, and I go, no. They come round. Oh, do you want me to book you in for a flu jab? No. Oh, aren't you going to have one? No, I don't need it. Oh, but you might get it. I said, yeah, I might not.
There's a lot of pressure on about vaccinations.
Yeah.
I know that with my kids.
Oh, I see. I know if you've got young children, if you've got girls 12 to 14, and if you're over 50, and or you're in frontline job, and that's when you get into the flu and statins bit.
Yes. Yeah.
But there are certain times when you get really seriously pressurised with this sort of stuff. And like you say, is if you can step back, and that's really what I've been trying to help you do on this call, to step back and just look. It's actually
the bigger picture.
It's like one of those oh shit moments. And you suddenly think, oh my God, what actually is going on here?
There's so much going on in these situations. There's so many things feeding into it that it's like, it's hard for people who are learning about this to, get a really good idea of what's going on.
The younger ones have been brainwashed. You have to try and de-brainwash them.
But the positive is, like we're here learning about it.
Yeah.
You can start putting the message out. Sue's going to write a book. It's all not all negative. There'll be other little groups like this happening over the country.
Well, I talk openly about
Really
stuff
trying
in
to
my
sort of
office.
say that actually we're doing this for the general public. How hard is it for them to see?
And the answer to that is
Small
that
steps.
it's small steps.
Yeah.
It's like you try to spread the word to the people. You try and sort yourself out, which is also not so easy. You try and sort yourself out, and then as you're getting to grips with that, you make sure you talk to other people about it, and because that's how it goes. It doesn't go any other way. Anything, it never changes any other way. And it's like it's. And of course, the older you get, the sort of situation like Ariana and I are in, it's like the older you get, the less nutrients your body absorbs anyway. So it's like you've got to be even more careful in some ways about the quality of your food the older you get. So it's like you have to be careful when you're very young. You have to be careful when you're in very specific situations like pregnancy or you've been ill or something like that. But also as you get older, which is why it's such a crying shame that most pensioners on Meals on Wheels or having stuff from
Appetito
or
Wiltshire frozen farm foods.
It's all
frozen ready meals, whack it in the microwave.
And they're all microwaved.
All of it.
So even if they started off as nutritionally really good food, which hopefully they would have, the question becomes by the time the person actually eats it, it's actually what you've got.
But what I would say, because I noticed this, because when I was ill,
You've been ill as well?
I've been a bit poorly over the last 2 weeks. But, so I'm there eating my food, thinking, well, at least I can chew it.
Yes.
Yes. I can chew my food. I'm ill, I can chew my food properly, so therefore my body will get more out of it.
Yeah. And it comes back to those things. It's like, once you understand how the system works, you know how you can help it as best you can in those situations when you are likely to be compromised. And usually there are times you've got the time to do it a little better.
So I was thinking actually, if you went round to hospital wards and just said, chew.
Yes.
You just don't know how much a big difference that would make.
It would make a terrific difference. Because even if you've got somebody who's really depleted and who's maybe, the amylase is not working well because blah, 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 at least if you know that their food's getting that chemistry start, that how much further down the line it will actually help.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what the results are when they start analysing hospital food, which is the next thing they're going to be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, but then the thing is they've still got to. You've still got to get the food into the person, and then for the person's body to be able to absorb it. So you can see how standing back and seeing where you can make a difference is really the most important thing, and that although there are some generalities, there are also going to be specific things that you can do depending on the person coming to you and asking you for help.
Do you know, in hospital I often hear people are being referred to a dietitian and they're put on food supplements, and you see these things and they taste disgusting, they're so sweet.
Yeah, that's one of the things we'll talk about today is supplementation. It's interesting, there was a quote, I can't remember, I'm naughty because I can't remember where I got it from. Never have so many people been so well fed and yet so badly nourished.
Wow. Kids suffering from malnutrition, aren't they?
Isn't it? When you think about it, compared to 50 years ago.
During the war,
Yeah.
with Rushdie, people were healthier, more nutritionally balanced, and they were eating things that were in harmony with the earth and the seasons, because they had to. They couldn't import it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I went to have a meeting with our head teacher the other day, and we've got a lovely little village school, 90 pupils, I think, now. And kind of as we were discussing things, she said, "You'll never believe it. Some of the kids don't come in here. They're not fed in the morning. They don't have their breakfast. And even in our lovely little community, there are still kids who are not being fed properly. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Well, my brother, before he left mainstream education, he retired and is now doing private, which he's enjoying more because he can do what he likes. Yeah. He used to teach sixth formers, and he, in the end, out of his own pocket, provided a toaster, bread, butter and a jam, marmalade and a few other things. He said, and in the end, he said that's the only way. He said, because if they come in, no breakfast, you can't get anything out of them. Yeah. He said, and it's like, and the school wouldn't support it, but in the end, he said, because he said, if I'm teaching kids first thing in the morning, he said, I need them to be there. And he said, and they have to have something.
Yeah. A lot of schools do run breakfast clubs.
They
come in to have their breakfast at school.
Yeah. But I thought a breakfast club was a sort of not a physical eating breakfast. I thought it was a club that happened as a sort of breakfast time, so the mums could go off to work.
It's both. It's both.
It's both.
But it's interesting. It's just these particular things. It's like we touched a little bit on last time about the fact is that certainly in Devon now they're saying that the school dinners have got to be provided for 0 to 8 for up to 8 years old. What are they going to provide? The things that they could provide easily would be soup, salad, and nutritionally would be bang on. Which of course, the chances of them doing that are 0. It wouldn't cost very much either. But it's like it's this whole thing. It's like children need this, but it's like then you hear, oh, they're cutting the finances back. And this comes back to what we were talking first thing this morning. Is if the country is going down like some of the economists say, and in listening to the cuts that the councils are making, and the government's making, so the councils have to make those cuts. It's like there was a chap on the telly yesterday. He was in a home that was adapted for him. He was disabled, but because his wife left him, he found himself in, I think it was a 2 or 3 bedroom house with all these adaptations for disabled. But they docked his housing benefit because he had 2 bedrooms that were not being used. And so he's got terribly behind in his rent. And there you have a house that's been adapted for this man. And that they were still paying him. And in the end, the parish council stepped in and paid his back because nobody else would. And I said to Si, that's the sort of big society that David Cameron's on about, is the fact that the people are going to have to pick up the slack of people like the parish councils and things like that. It's like they're not actually looking at this difficulty they put this bloke in. But he was in a house that was adapted for him. He had a special stair lift, and everything.
And that would have cost thousands
And
to
that
have
would-
all that done.
And you're thinking,
How short-sighted,
You
how
know,
stupid.
and this idea about, yes, they need to supply school meals for lunches for kids up to 8 years old is all right in theory.
They haven't got the kitchens.
They haven't got the kitchens, and I bet they haven't got the money.
You're right. I haven't got
Mm.
You have to put in one of those mobile kitchens.
Well, we
You know.
at our school have all their meals delivered to them
Yeah.
via, I think the lorry must come round to all the local
Yeah,
schools.
and the question is, where did they come from?
And that's
I don't know. Well, no, we have a kitchen. We have no. I'm not sure. There are big ovens in I don't know actually, but I kind of assume that they are all ovened.
I'm just going to say they're all come in big containers
Yeah,
and thrown in the
just
oven.
thrown in the oven, and then I don't know.
Yeah. But it would be an interesting. It would be an interesting thing to find out where those meals actually come from. Because I was saying last time, RD&E in Exeter, meals come from Wales.
Mm.
Well, not every day though. Every day,
Yeah.
or a couple.
Yeah.
All of their food comes from Wales.
Huh.
You know, it'll be very interesting to see. And then you're in the same thing about, therefore, what's happening to the nutritional value. But yes, then that brings you to this is what's the quality of the nutrients of the food if you get it.
Yeah, it's
You know.
made in a giant kitchen on a massive scale, industrial
Well, that's
scale.
okay to some extent, but then it's what happens in the travelling,
Mm.
and then what's happening when it's reheated. You know, what's happening to those nutrients when it's like, you know, things like that. And so this becomes the whole.
I have to say, there's a company that was based in Dawlish. They've moved out to Chudley now because they've got big, and they supply freshly cooked, chilled foods. They're cooked that morning and then they're delivered
Yeah.
in the morning, and they're chilled
Yes.
so people can heat them up straight away. And they're wonderful.
Yeah. You see, that's the
And
sort
that
of-
business is growing
Yeah.
and growing.
Mm.
It's got quite big now.
It comes back to the difference between cheap and value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have this thing that, if it's cheap, it must be a value, but no, it doesn't.
No.
You know?
You get cheap vegetables.
Yeah, but it's like they're saying is, you know, if you're happy to have knobbly carrots, they're still carrots.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've stopped peeling my vegetables now, thanks to your
You know,
first one. I
scrub
realised
them.
that to scrub them and chop them up.
Yeah. But it's
Saves time as well.
But it's interesting. So, you know, your local veg shop that gets stuff from local farmers is going to have
Yeah.
gnarly, lumpy things. I mean, you hardly see things like Brandy apples and things like that anymore because, of course, they're misshapen. And, of course, all the supermarkets want their everything to be
Round,
just so, and cucumbers to be straight, and the carrots to be straight. And
Isn't there a bit of a thing going on that the supermarkets have got to stop doing that?
well, they're
Yeah.
trying
Well,
to. They're trying to, but I
I'd
mean,
like to
it's,
see it happen.
you know, but it's like, you know, it's those sort of things. If you can find a local supply, you're probably better.